I'm in Somers Town, just by Euston Station, to tell the tale of yet another pub murder. But it's not just a pub murder, because this unassuming property, the Prince Arthur, was actually involved in what would become the first case where the internet helped to capture the murderer. During the late 90s, a brave landlady called Carol Fife, who was a Scots lady, she had moved down to London to run this pub. Now, while she was running the pub, she had also employed another chap, Gregory Mills, who was an Australian who had moved to London to look for work. Now, Mills wrapped up his job here and took up a job in another pub in Oxford. He moved on, but a set of keys went missing. Now, there's two accounts as to how this crime took place. Some people believe that Gregory returned, hid in the pub, waited until everyone had left, walked upstairs and dragged Carol downstairs to deactivate the alarm and open the safe. Though there are more accounts which allude to the more likely tale, which is that he kept the keys because he intended to get in and out without being detected. He took a bus at the early hours of the morning from Oxford, which further leads us to believe he wanted to get away without detection, all the way down to London, snuck his way in with the keys. This is the second account, not the first account where he's supposed to have waited in the pub. He snuck in with the keys and worked his way to the alarm system, deactivated it himself. So it's ridiculous that he ever could have thought he'd have got away with it, because how many people are going to know this? And then navigated his way to the safe, which only he and a few others would have known the location of. Now, Carol was disturbed by some noises, and she catches Mills at the safe. Now, Carol was only supposed to be between 5'4" and 5'6". She was meant to be a small woman, but her Scots bravery shone through, because she grabbed the man, trying to save. Well, I mean, personally, it would have been much better, in my opinion, if she had let the man rob the place and she had fled, because she'd still be here today. But when she tackled the man, she took his mask off, and there she saw Gregory Mills, who obviously she recognised. Now, what would originally be a robbery will become a murder, because Gregory Mills knows he had been recognised. This is a difficult subject, because I know people that have got in big trouble or gone to prison for being caught with minimal things. They didn't think that someone's life was worth the petty amount of cash they'd got hold of. But to Gregory, it was different. So I can say that in my assessment, it's most likely Gregory didn't intend to murder anyone. He probably intended to get in and out without being seen. But then we have to look at the cold-blooded nature of, is a few £100 or a couple of grand, whatever he got out of that safe, worth ending the life of a woman as opposed to facing the equivalent of what would be a slap on the wrist? So when we assess this in a criminology standpoint, we can say that maybe there wasn't going to be a murder, but then upon actually seeing Carol, how was that man capable of a cold-blooded murder in that fashion? So Carol had been beaten with a rolling pin and stabbed. She died inside the property, tragically. Bravely, I might add. The culprit, once again, left the country. So he'd left Australia in order to come here. He's quite comfortable with moving around. He now moves to America. But, and this is where it gets interesting, the balaclava which was taken off him left a single hair, which was enough to trace his DNA. And for this reason, the British authorities knew that it was Gregory Mills who had committed this murder. Now an international warrant went out. This is why some say this was the first case to ever use the internet to catch a man abroad. Interpol later denied this, but we don't really know the truth. But the rumour still exists. Scotland Yard sent a few of their police officers over to America, but little did they realise that it was actually Mills' own mistake making that would get him caught. Mills had a motorbike in the States, and it was actually a regular traffic stop from a police officer that actually captured the murderer, because when he pulled him over and checked his details, lo and behold, he has a warrant for suspected murder in London. And so he was brought back by the officers from Scotland Yard and would face justice in the Old Bailey. The precedent that this set was incredibly important for the authorities worldwide. And it sparked the idea, it sparked the trend that is still so heavily in use today of tracking people down by international means using the internet itself. The internet may be something that we can't see. It may almost be fake. It doesn't really exist. But that thing that doesn't exist is far more likely to catch you for something you did in the real world than relying on a lucky witness.